What's the force that pulls you forward while keeping you grounded? For a lot of people, the answer to that question is grounded in a spiritual practice or tradition. Some of us have them and some of us don't. I think, though, that just about all of us can relate to the question, why am I here on this earth, in this life, for this limited amount of time that I have here? What's the purpose I'm living and working to fulfill? That's how I think about spiritual routines. They're the habits and practices that help keep us connected to our sense of overarching purpose. They can also be the routines that ground us in the moment and maintain our perspective in the midst of a crazy day, week, month, or even year. In this best ever episode, I'm sharing actionable insights from 5 of my season 1 guests on the spiritual routines that keep them connected with their senses of purpose and perspective. I want to start with corporate board director and former Fortune 50 executive Laura Lee. I had the opportunity to be Laura's executive coach for a year in the 2010s, and I found her to be one of the deepest thinking and most heartfelt people I've ever encountered. In this clip, Laura describes the very intentional routine she follows to keep herself grounded in purpose and perspective.
There's a piece that has to do with purposefulness in the world
Mm.
and feeling that I'm making a meaningful contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to look out into the world and say, what's needed, not just in my immediate vicinity, but in the bigger picture. What is that calling forth for me? What should I pursue to where I feel like I'm contributing to what's nearby, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pursue it with commitment and intensity, and that's very motivating when you believe it's connected to something that's needed in the world.
Right.
I mean, I think it starts with knowing yourself, being really clear on not only what you're good at, but what brings you joy. What do you enjoy doing? Understand your why. I had my why of going into board work, right? Understand your why, so that you're going towards something, not away from something, for sure.
So, Laura, you mentioned a mantra a little while ago. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, it's a mantra that I've developed in recent years, Scott. It's open heart, awakened mind, strong core, enlivened spirit, and caring community. And these are things that I've realized when I work on them, and in that order, there's a particular order, that work becomes easy, potential becomes available. I can be at my best without a lot of effort.
I love that. What does core mean to you in that list of heart, mind, core, spirit, and community?
So, strong core for me means things like being clear on my values, but also setting clear aims for myself. So, if I'm going to pursue something, I have a clear aim that I set for myself, and having rituals. Rituals are part of it, just like a strong core in your body, right? You
Mm-hmm.
work certain things and you have a strong core. So, if I'm exercising, my body is part of a strong core, but
Mm-hmm.
also my values. And so I have rituals. I go to the gym, I journal, I set aims for myself, and I reflect on how I'm doing with pursuing those aims. Those are all part of having a strong core. And my
Yeah.
faith is part of my strong core. And that leading with open heart is something that um the younger me never would have thought that the this age me found to be the most important thing. But it has to do with non-judgmentalism, so, toward myself and toward others. And because you can't be discerning, in my opinion, if you're judging. And being non-judgmental is how you're able to perceive reality and work with things as they are, not as you wish them to be, and not get caught up in wishing others to be different from how they are, or blaming yourself for things that you can't do anything about. So that open heart is a really good, important starting place.
Like Laura, Maggie Kane found her purpose and is acting on it every day. Maggie is the founder of A Place at the Table, Raleigh, North Carolina's Pay What You Can Cafe. She is a ball of energy and a force of nature. Those are great traits to have when you're running a notoriously tough business like a restaurant. That challenge becomes even greater when your restaurant is strictly donation based and has the mission of serving all comers with dignity, friendship, and a delicious meal in a beautiful setting. You don't need a ton of awareness to quickly recognize that Maggie's days are hectic and full. In those conditions, it can be all too easy to lose sight of the purpose that brought you to the party in the first place. The stress of the daily grind can get to you if you're not mindful about pushing back on it. Here's what Maggie told me about the daily routine she's developed to stay connected with her purpose of making sure that all people are seen as the human beings they are and that they're treated with love and dignity.
I am such a creature of like resisting the grind culture. I very much want to wake up and immediately start working and immediately start knocking things off the to-do list. And it just hit me one day that like there's literally always going to be a to-do list and I'm never gonna fully get through it. So I have got to start my day with with the thought of like it is going to be a good day. I got to start my day like taking care of myself first, feeding my soul first, because it all comes back to soul. The reason I do this work is soul. Like, and I don't want to lose that because of my to-do list. And so I keep a devotion beside my bed, and I like, okay, I would say I just wake up and start doing it. I go get coffee. But I go get coffee first downstairs. It's preset. It's ready to go. And I come upstairs and I take that 30 minutes, not even 15 minutes before opening my computer. And I read my devotion. Right now it's Kate Ballard. And I read that and I sit back like 15 minutes after that and I go, and I remind myself, I'm like, what would I like? What if I didn't do that? And I just immediately started emailing. What, I got one more email done? Great. Right. So I think that it is just, it's given me a calmness to start the day versus immediately jumping into the demands that all of us experience in all of our jobs. The second thing is with that intention is, look, I don't even know. I just know that it has helped me over the years say today is going to be a great day. Because it goes back to that intention again of the same thing with the devotion is like, if I like breathe and state positive energy into the world, then I'm at least getting some of it back. Like in I don't even know, like in if I'm stating it, then manifesting or not, there something good is coming my way that day. And so no, I don't think it's gonna be like the best, day I've ever experienced in my life. But I do think like stating it, it just at least reminds you that like, hey, like I love my work. I love what I do every day. I feel so lucky. And there are also so many people that don't have this life. There are people like that are dying all over the world right now. And look, today we get to do really good work.
Maggie starts her day with intention and manifestation. Harry Kramer, the former CEO of Baxter International and current clinical professor at Northwestern University, ends his day by reflecting on his intentions and how well he measured up. One of the things I really appreciate about the routine he follows each night is that it's proven, timeless, and, oh, by the way, screen free. It's drawn from the teachings of St. Ignatius of Loyola, and it's also a great example of how to go deep and continuously improve on the connection between living better and leading better. Here's how Harry breaks it down.
I will spend 15 to 20 minutes every night. I'm not a morning guy, but every night before I go to bed, going through a what I call the spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, which basically goes as follows: what did I say I was going to do today? What did I do? What am I proud of? What am I not proud of? How did I lead people? How did I follow people? If I lived today over again, what would I have done differently? And then the last one, Scott, is if I have tomorrow. And I'm very well aware of the fact sooner or later we won't, but if I do have tomorrow and a learning person, based on what I learned today, how will I operate differently tomorrow on whatever dimension of your life matters? In my case, as a father, as a spouse, as a Christian, as a leader, as a teacher. And I do that 15, 20 minutes every day. And of course, the students will say to me, do you do this every day? I do it every day. I mean, And 15, 20 minutes is great because if I said I do it for an hour, I could easily convince myself I don't. Hard to imagine I don't have 15, 20 minutes. And then the student will say, well, do you have to write it down? I don't think you have to. I do, because if I don't write it down, am I self-reflector? Am I daydreaming, particularly if I've had a couple of glasses of wine? It could get a little murky, right? Then they'll say, well, geez, wait a minute. If you're taking notes, a paragraph or so, when do you have a chance to read? And I say, well, every year, the first weekend in December, I have 3 days, on this silent retreat with nobody to talk to other than a prayer book, and then I review it. So this self-reflection piece becomes very important.
So we have Maggie's morning start and Harry's evening reflection as great examples of routines that can keep you connected to purpose and perspective. But what about the messy middle of the day? There's a famous Mike Tyson quote that says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's kind of what most days are like. It's one unexpected punch after another. So how do you bounce back from all of that incoming and stay connected to why you're there and what you're trying to do? Richard Kulata, a CEO in the education tech space, explains how his faith gives him a baseline, a way to zoom out and realize that the hair on fire problem in front of him might not be as big as it seems, and sets him on a path to solve it.
I will say I don't talk about this on a lot of podcasts, but I am I do have a faith base that's quite strong, and I've served in our church. I've served a mission for 2 years for my church, and I've spent a lot of time in church service. I do believe that that's really key to staying grounded for me, and also just sort of reminding. It helps me baseline the problems that I'm tackling, right? When there's this sort of a broader
Say more
picture,
about baseline. What does that look like?
I can get very caught up in the details of a particular problem that I'm trying to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of being excited about fixing problems, right? but sometimes I need to be able to zoom out and recognize that while this problem is important on the grand, and I would say on the eternal scheme of things, it's actually much smaller. And if I can keep that perspective in mind, it actually makes it easier for me to solve the problem. And so that sort of eternal arc helps me keep grounded.
When I released my book, Overworked and Overwhelmed, someone asked me to sum it up in one word. My immediate answer was breathe. The breath is the reset button that we always carry with us. When you're feeling untethered from your purpose, stop and take a deep breath. Better yet, take 3 deep breaths. Even better than that is to make intentional breathing a regular routine that you use to center yourself and reconnect with your purpose. Some people call that routine meditation, and other people get freaked out or put up their force field when you call it that. My friend and executive coaching colleague, Muriel Wilkins, used to be one of the people in the second group. Then she gave breathing-based meditation a try and found it such a powerful way to bring her back to her home base of centered purpose that she's kept at it for 8 years now. And according to the Insight meditation app on my iPhone, I've been at it for at least 12 years. I can vouch for what Muriel shares and how she describes the process and benefits of breathing-based meditation.
I do have a meditation practice, and I have to say I fought meditation for many, many, many years. I just couldn't stand even people saying that they meditate. I started practicing what's known as Vipassana meditation about 8 years ago because I was following somebody who I hugely admire, and she said that's what she did, and I was like, oh well, if that's what she does, maybe it's what I should do. And I tried
Explain
it.
the essence of Vipassana,
Yeah, so
please.
Vipassana meditation, I'm drawn to. It's also called insight meditation in the Western world. It literally is just focusing on the breath. There's no guiding, there's no music, there's no nothing, there's no special way of breathing. You just focus on your breath. And what I love about that is that when we think about it, your breath is actually the only thing that tethers you to life, right? It's the only thing that's actually present in this moment. There is 3 parts. It's simple. There's the inhalation, the exhalation, and then the little pause in between. And what I find is that the practice is not so much in the meditation, but being able to spend that time doing that and being curious, not so much about staying focused on the breath, but being curious and actually celebrating every time I realize that I have left the breath, which happens most of the time,
Sure.
and my ability to come back to the breath is where for me, I'm like, okay, that's, there's always room to course correct. There's always room to come back to home. There's always room to come back to baseline. So it is a practice now. I mean, it's the first thing I do when I come downstairs every morning, even if, I try to do, even if all I can fit in is 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I try to practice it through the day, just as
Just
if
the
I'm in
breath.
conversation and I feel myself just coming back to me, because recognizing that this is home, this is where I'm safe.
I love what Muriel said at the end about even if she can just get 5 minutes of meditation in, it improves her day. That is such an important point about routines, whether they're spiritual, physical, mental, or relational. There's 100% optimal version that has maximum benefit. But the thing is, we rarely get 100% of the 100% of our favorite routines. On those days when we can't, is 5 minutes as good as 15 minutes? Maybe not, but is 5 minutes better than 0 minutes? Yeah, absolutely. So I hope some of the routines that my guests shared that keep them connected to their senses of purpose and perspective are both instructive and inspiring to you. In working with my clients over the years, I've found that spiritual routines can be an uncomfortable topic for them to discuss or consider. When you frame it, though, as staying connected to purpose and perspective, it becomes something that almost everyone sees the value in. So, no matter where you are on this topic, I encourage you to either keep up with the spiritual routines that are enabling you to live better and lead better, or adopt just one purpose-focused routine that would be relatively easy for you to do and would be likely to make a difference in how you engage at home, at work, and out in the world. If you're looking for ideas and resources on how to get started, check out my 1-hour online course, Best Life Ever, Create the Outcomes That Matter Most with Your Life GPS Roadmap, on my website at eblingroup.com. Thanks for listening to this special episode of Best Ever, and keep taking those small steps that lead to your best ever outcomes.